I think it was earlier this week sometime, where there's this whole viral thing going on right now, where ChatGPT, okay, there's this sea of cover letters for job applications that is just, it's going viral because essentially what's happening is people are using ChatGPT to create a cover letter, and they're just not even paying attention to it, and they're just copying it and pasting it. And so talent acquisition and recruiters are posting about this going, are you kidding me? Like yet another one. And it's blatantly obvious that these things are copy and pasted. They've still got the little like brackets where you're supposed to enter your name and, said skills and what, enter what interests you about the job type of a thing. So this is pure laziness, which the one thing that now, one of the entertaining parts of this was I saw something that a founder got up in arms on this, and people joked that you should just send a AI generated letter back to the person about it. I think the thing that's interesting is it's caused some spark about generative AI and the fingers kind of being pointed at generative AI for doing this. And I don't know that it's fully fair that Gen AI is taking the heat for this, because people have been doing this for a long time. You could Google cover letter, and maybe it was a little more difficult to do it because if you just copy and pasted it. But I mean, I know as a hiring manager for many years, I've gotten some pretty obvious copy paste generic cover letters and resumes from people that I went, did you even bother? It still has the wrong job name in the thing. I'm so excited to learn more about XYZ job. And you're like, well, that's not the job we'd be talking about, so I don't know who you're talking to. Or the name's different. Hi, Jonathan. Like, well, I'm not Jonathan, so I'm not apparently who you intended. So it's not generative AI that is causing this. And there was another article, I was going to include it in this week. I didn't, but it was talking about the impact that Gen AI is having on human behavior. And what I will say, why I do think this is worth drawing attention to, is I do think generative AI is making it easier for this kind of lazy behavior. And it's giving the false sense that being lazy will have no consequences. And I think some of that goes back to the way Gen AI is positioned as this hyper intelligent. It's 1,000 degrees more intelligent than a human being. It has more access to information than anyone on the planet. And so there's a natural tendency to go, well, if I did it with ChatGPT or with Gen AI, it's going to be good. And that's not the case. And so if you're someone who's not quite there or hasn't had one of these bad experiences, please use your critical thinking skills when you use Gen AI. Do not just take whatever it has and copy and paste it. Whether it's a cover letter, whether it's a social media post, whether it like whatever you're doing with it. One, people's acumen for this is starting to elevate. So maybe in early 2023, you might have been able to get away with it and people might have just assumed it was a minor clerical error. But like when your first sentence opens with, I'm going to delve into the blah, 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 and you're like, okay, you literally just copied this from ChatGPT. And people can tell the way AI writes, the way it says things, it's just not how normal human beings speak. And we're seeing more and more that honestly, kind of the just faultiness, the brokenness of people is actually what makes us stand out. Is like we make mistakes, we word things weird, and it's not, I don't know. So anyway, just be really careful with this. Now, one of the things that I think is disappointing is some of the backlash on this is, of course, people going, this is why Gen AI is bad, and this, you should never use Gen AI to help you write a cover letter. Here's my take on this. Could you use ChatGPT or Anthropic? Whenever I say ChatGPT, it's kind of like saying Google. You just mean search. If you're going to use Gen AI for a cover letter, I would actually encourage you to, because the sheer activity of writing a cover letter and even tailoring a cover letter for a specific job is a very robotic, mundane activity. And you're going to screw it up because you're going to go, I'm on cruise control. I don't really want to be doing this right now. I've done this for like the 7th job in a row, and I'm just literally tippy tapping. And you're actually going to make bigger mistakes. So, would I encourage people to go out, use Gen AI and go, here's the job description. But use it like you're talking to an assistant or an intern. I'd like to write a cover letter for this job. These are some of the skills I want to highlight. Here's the job description. Can you please make sure that you're calling attention to certain things with this? Like, give it clear, robust instructions on what you want to do. And then after it spits it out, don't just copy and paste it. Read it, edit it, revise it, make it sound like something that is authentic to you. If you do that, you're fine. And so do the critics of this whole instance going, this is why Gen AI is bad and nobody should ever do this. And I would never hire someone who would use ChatGPT for a cover letter. If you truly are never going to hire someone who uses ChatGPT for a cover letter, you actually are bad at business because you actually have a bias against AI, so much so that you would rather have people waste their time and create a lower quality product simply because you don't like AI. You don't want to be in that camp. Do you want to be in the camp of, no, I don't want people who mindlessly use AI and don't use the critical thinking skills and their skills and talents that I hired them for, and instead make critical errors like sending cover letters with blank filler boxes. Yeah, that's a perfectly legitimate position to have. So if you're a hiring manager, yeah, if somebody sends you one of those, probably not somebody you want to put through a couple rounds of interviews because they clearly don't really care and aren't really interested in taking the time to do it. At the same time, maybe still do some research on them because anybody who's looked for a job knows how much of a soul-crushing activity that can be. And maybe after getting ghosted by 2,000 companies, talent acquisition organizations, I'm speaking to you, not getting any response, not having anybody call them back, maybe they just are tired. And so maybe don't just completely write them off. Maybe give them the benefit of the doubt that, you know what, honest mistake, just like we all make honest mistakes, do a little digging on them, maybe have a conversation. Now, if you have a conversation and they treat it the same way as the cover letter, well, then that's a different story. But if you're a job seeker, please don't hear these things and then think I should never use Gen AI for this kind of stuff. And somehow my cover letter is of better quality if I write and physically use my fingers to tippy tap every keystroke into the keyboard of it. It doesn't produce a better product. It's a less efficient, less effective use of your time. So use it, but use it intelligently. Be thoughtful in your prompts. Your prompts might actually end up being longer than the cover letter, and that's okay because you want to work with it. You want to need it. You want to do all this stuff. It's a great opportunity to practice OpenAI's Canvas. Try it out. Say, make a canvas. I want to create a cover letter. Let's get started on that. Have it start. Tell it the job description. Have it edit it. Revise the things that don't make sense. But the best product comes when you actually lean in and you work together with it. You team up and you figure out how to do it. The kind of crap we're seeing, it bothers me a ton. And I agree with it. And I think it's ridiculous. And if you're the one perpetuating this stuff, please stop. Not only are you giving AI a bad name, but you're also just giving job seekers a bad name because they already get stereotyped and branded as, certain things. And that's why they don't have a job and all these other things. And then this kind of crap comes up and it just fuels these stereotypes that, yep, see, this is how people who are unemployed are. They do this kind of stuff. And we don't need that. We don't need that. Chances are most of these things are either bots. By the way, there are people who are paying for bots just to do things. Here's another reason why you don't just get a bot to take care of things for you and trust it'll be fine. Because there's a good chance it's sending out cover letters like this that are going to make sure you never get called back. And talent acquisition people talk, and you don't want this label associated with you. So be careful, folks. Be careful, folks, but also don't completely write off Gen AI, or you may be that finance person that still insists on doing long form division when there's Excel and a calculator. And you don't want to be that person either.